Alright. Welcome back. I'm the Fanatic, and in today's episode, we're talking about the Pistons. No fancy intro today because we got Pistons fan here, and Pistons fan is not very happy with Pistons. I don't know how we put this well. Cade, I love that you're being aggressive, and I understand that I know it's really crazy, but taking more shots and practicing shooting will make you better at scoring. It's really mind-boggling. I still can't believe it. But can we please talk about how you shot 1 of 8? Can we talk about how you had 18 points on 23% from the field when Killian Hayes was shooting 50% that night and also had double digits? Please, please, please. We okay. One thing that I really hate is Killian Hayes has not been Killian Hayes this season. Grant, he's still making amazing passes, and you can blame his low assist numbers on the fact that our team cannot score a basket to save our lives. That being said, I would like to see more assists out. I'm willing to wait on that because these past few games for him, his efficiency has been really nice. He's looking like a really confident player, and I love that. Sadiq Bey, great start. Haven't seen anything since. Come on, Sadiq. We where are we looking at here? I need to see that our guy who's supposed to be our role-playing clutch shooter for the future, our Klay Thompson of the Pistons. Yeah, you kind of need to go back to acting like Klay Thompson. Isaiah Stewart. Yeah, Big Stu. Well, where we start here? You've been a disappointment this year in your points and rebounding. Grant, I still love your aggressiveness and your tenacity because, well, that's definitely something that's going to win us games in the future. But hurts a little bit right now. I find it really odd that we both can't that we can't get second chance opportunities and we can't make baskets. Doesn't really make sense to me, but you know what? That just doesn't make sense to me. Something I'd really like to see though, Jeremy, I love you. You're amazing. Get off my roster. Same with Kelly Olynyk. I love having you guys here. You're very useful to our team. We are not trying to win. I'm sorry. Let me make this more clear. We are trying to lose. Because we just won the draft lottery, got Cade Cunningham, we have Killian Hayes, Isaiah Stewart, Sadiq Bey. That's 4 guys right there with future All-Star potential. And if we're just bad enough this year, we might get another first pick. And hey, there are tons of amazing people that we can get in this draft class. We can move Mr. Isaiah Stewart down to power forward and maybe look at getting a solid, we can get another solid front court option. And that'd be really great because I love the idea of running a Killian Hayes, Cade Cunningham backcourt when they're really, really getting settled into things. And then we have not 1, not 2, but 3 floor spacers because we can get Sadiq Bey, who's a catch and shooter, to play small forward. His jump shot is so pure. Come on. Isaiah Stewart has shown us that he can shoot. He can shoot. And he will shoot because he's confident to do it. That gives us 2. We could look at potentially in the next couple of years getting Victor Wembanyama. That's a 3rd guy. He's a front court position. And not only is he an amazing defender, he has a great jumper. This man has potential. And even if we don't want him, how about Chet Holmgren? We could look at Chet. Chet's another solid option with a high lottery pick. If we get him, that's another front court position filled and another amazing shooter. The floor spacing will be amazing. Cade has shown us through his aggressiveness that he can drive to the basket and play ISO basketball, which will be invaluable going forward. Killian Hayes, he has some nice moves around the basket. Isaiah Stewart has a very solid post game and is relentless on the offensive glass, which I absolutely love about him. We look at what else we have here. Yeah, maybe we're stupid and we grab a guy like Jaden Hardy so we can have like a real scoring presence. But I was vouching. That's why I was vouching for us to have Jalen Green. But Jalen Green would only have worked without Cade Cunningham. We don't need a Jalen Green kind of guy now, because when you think about it before, it was, hey, we have our playmaker, Killian Hayes. We have our scorer, our main scorer, our offensive ISO option in Jalen Green. Now, looking back on it, as right as I was with Jalen Green being insanely talented, I stand by that take, and I'm right about that take, and you can look at the stats if you disagree with me. And we still should have traded back to number 2 to get him. I stand by that take completely. We would have had Jalen Green paired with Killian Hayes in the backcourt, and they can easily feed off of each other. Then you also have Sadiq Bey for Killian Hayes to pass to, and he can be our secondary guy for when Jalen Green's offense isn't going. And then we also have Isaiah Stewart, who can clean up boards for when Jalen Green wouldn't have been going, but we didn't take Jalen, and we have to live with that. We took Cade, and now our roster is a lot more fun than a traditional roster, because we have 2 backcourt playmakers. Now, we're talking about Dwayne Casey here, and he likes to have 3 backcourt playmakers, so this could be an interesting roster here, because if Dwayne Casey and the Pistons do what I think they're going to do, which is not exactly what I'd want, because as I said, I want another floor-spacing big man for us. I want IT to have some help. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's really going to happen is we're going to draft a 3rd guard. Well, not a guard. A guard-wing mix. Because, yeah, we need a good blend of playmaking and some offense. Because our defense is good. Our defense is amazing because we have Isaiah Stewart who can lock down the paint. We have Killian Hayes who can lock down the perimeter. Cade has shown potential to also lock down the perimeter. Sadiq is an average to great defender. Not quite in that great category, but he's a good defender. He's a solid defender. He gets the job done. And then our 5th guy, as long as we get a good pick in this next draft, is also going to be a really good defender. And that's really scary because we suddenly have Pistons basketball culture back. And we have our workhorse attitudes, and we have our, hey, we play defense, we win championships kind of vibe back. And I really love that because it's really how we won 03-04. We didn't, as great as Chauncey was, it was really our defense that was leading us there. Our scoring was solid, but it's one of the greatest defensive teams of all time, and they were showing it with what they were doing, and that's the way that the Pistons have continually won throughout history, with great defenses. And we're going to have a lot more fans in the stands. We're going to have a lot more fans back behind the Pistons. They're going to gain some relevance back because it's going to go back to being the bad boys of the NBA. It's going to go back to being the workhorses of the NBA because we have to work to earn everything. The NBA isn't handing us anything. The NBA, we don't get free agents. We don't get players saying, hey, we want to go there. Yeah, we lucked out with Cade Cunningham. But there's a reason why Jalen Green was saying all this stuff about how he didn't want to end up in Detroit. Because nobody wants to be here. We aren't the best market, okay? But our bad boys image made us iconic. it gave us a sort of prestige that made people look at us and say, hey, that's the team. And you could hear the name Bad Boys, and you could look at our logo, you could look at all this stuff, you could hear only a name on our roster, and you would instantly know what team it is. You would instantly know who we are and what we were doing and why we were winning. And we are getting back to that with our solid defense, but our offense just isn't catching up. And that's a shame. Because if we can get... I keep going back to this lottery pick idea. I need to stop relying on it, but... Getting way too far off this. Anyway, what I think that the Pistons and Dwayne Casey are going to do, they're going to draft a third wing-scoring, playmaking guard so that we can boost our offense, because we don't really need more defense, but, again, if we do get more defense, it'll only help our image. And then we can play Big Stu at center, Sadiq at power forward, Killian and Cade can be our point guard and shooting guard. You can interchange that a little bit, I don't really care. Small forward, it could be really interesting to have a guy like Jaden Hardy, but again, I don't think that's what's going to happen. We need a more defined offensive option than Sadiq Bey. And we need somebody who's going to be consistent, but we need them to be able to pop off. We already have Sadiq to be there, to be our reliable option. We need a guy who can do more than run the offense. And besides, with the way that Dwayne Casey likes to run his three-guard offenses, I could easily see... Not Jay and Hardy, because I don't want to see Jay and Hardy here. I'm sorry, Jay and Hardy, go get your own team. We could easily see a big-time offensive option coming out of this draft, because we already have great defenders. Now, I would be concerned that it doesn't mesh well with Cade and his aggressiveness and how he wants to run the Pistons, and I don't think it meshed well with the way that we kind of need Killian to be off ball, but like also not. It's really weird, but he's playing well off ball, so that's good. But Cade and Killian are both capable of running our offense, and it's really weird because we both need to get more offense, and we also kind of just need to ride it out, because yeah, you give him a couple more years, Cade is going to be able to do it. He's going to be able to do it great. I'm not sure how great. I'm hoping that he fixes his efficiency, because if he doesn't, he's not going to survive in the league very long. Yes, I just said that number one pick might not survive in the league long. Fight me about it. You need some examples? Look at Anthony Bennett. And we have all of this stuff here, but what we could see is that we draft a solid playmaking guard. And I think it'd be very interesting, because suddenly we have three guys that are capable of running our offense. So you can't shut down any one of them and expect to be safe. You can shut down one of our guys, maybe with a double team or something. So what are you doing about the other two? Are you double teaming with a big man? Because that means that Big Stu is going off. Are you double teaming with a guard? Because that means that you're leaving one of our other guards open. And that's an interesting dynamic, because it means that we're always going to have somebody capable of running the offense. And as long as we have them where they can at least reasonably operate in ISO situations, we're going to be dominant. And that could be really interesting. It might seem like an excess of talent at that, position, and it kind of is, but the excesses are working in our advantage. Really well, actually. Because if you try to shut them down, double teaming them, you have three guys to double team, and you can only have 5 people on your roster on the court at one time. You simply put can't stop them all. And that's a really interesting dynamic. But, this is also the bad boys, and we need to keep our defense first image. And if we start making it look like we're trying to focus more on offense, it might sort of take away from what the Pistons are trying to do. And yeah, okay, Pistons don't exactly have a ton of momentum right now, but when if you compare it to what we were doing a couple years ago, and you look at a more wide scope way of viewing what's going on here, the Pistons actually have a lot of momentum going. Yeah, this season's kind of a dud, but we knew that it was a dud going into it. We knew that we weren't expecting to be great this season. We weren't expecting to be good. We weren't expecting to be anywhere near a playoff spot. But we all know that's part of the process. And we all know that after we get this pick this year, the Pistons, give them another 2-3 years at maximum, we're going to be not only a team on the rise, but we're a potential free agent destination, which is scary when we have guys like Miles Bridges, who's looking like absolute god. Now, Miles Bridges, small tangent, I promise. Just need to give some respect to Miles Bridges. Best thing that could have happened to him was LaMelo Ball. Best thing that could have happened to LaMelo Ball was Miles Bridges. End of story. End of story. End of story. This is a video about the Pistons. We're going to talk about the Pistons. Actually, we already did. That's kind of it for the video. Pistons are going to be scary in a couple years. Free agents are going to make us scarier. Our a potential lottery pick... Why am I saying potential? Our high lottery pick in this year's draft is going to make us super scary. It's going to make us... I'd like to say OKC level scary, but that's also moderately disrespectful. And if Saben Lee comes back, then it's also going to be interesting with our point guard dynamic, because suddenly we might actually get forced to where we have 4 capable ball handlers, which is that makes me a little bit uncomfortable, but at the same time, I'm talking about 3 here. You know what? Might as well just throw out a 4th, make it even more unstoppable, but this is a weird video. We're talking about weird things. These are the Pistons. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. I'm out.